So today I got a call with an individual from Indonesia, and he's doing an eBay store, and he's selling some courses, and he's doing a lot of different things online. I guess he's having a little bit of success because he has some questions for me. So before we get into the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me get the video out to more people, to help more people, and I appreciate that. So let's get to the video.
Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up.
How are you? All good?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you? Where are you calling me from today?
Bali, Indonesia, actually.
Indonesia, awesome. So it's the evening there, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah, it's the 9:30, yeah, evening.
Oh, we're in the other side of the world. I just started my day. It's 9 a.m. and
well, good morning to you.
yes, thank you. Good evening. So normally, you know how I do these calls. You can tell me a little bit about your business and what you're doing, and then we can get into some of your questions.
Okay, perfect. So essentially, it's all online retail arbitrage on eBay. I'm planning to start on Amazon as well, and I do a little bit of Shopify. So essentially, I either source from the United States directly, so I have contracts with local wholesalers, or I use other retailers as well to fulfill some of my orders.
Mm-hmm.
And other part of the business is where I'm sourcing from China. Now, recently I've started collecting some royalties as well, so I'll have some questions about that as well. And I'm the tax resident of the Czech Republic in the EU, and I've created my LLC in Wyoming.
Okay, yeah, I guess your name does look a little more Czech than Indonesian.
Correct. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Real digital nomad. Okay, great. So, how is it going on eBay? Is that your main source of revenue, your eBay store?
It's as far as the online income, yes, but it's kind of more of a side hustle rather than a full-time thing at this point.
Oh, you have like a day job and you do this all at night?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Okay. Are you some kind of like programmer or something? Some IT kind of guy?
I actually work in marketing and sales here on the island. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you work locally. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And so, yeah, my questions stem from the tax questionnaires that come from the American platforms like Amazon, eBay, Udemy as well, because obviously I have the U.S. tax ID, my EIN number, but then I come into sort of I'm not sure if I'm considered a business or if I'm considered an individual, because essentially a lot of these platforms state that if you have a single member LLC, you're considered an individual and you should provide your personal tax ID, and they do not accept EIN number for these cases. And
which is that specifically? Which one are you having the most problems with?
Well, it would start with, first they ask if I'm a U.S. person or not. I suppose I'm not.
Correct.
And then if I'm an individual or a business.
Well, so that's the thing with the LLC. It's great, but it's not considered it doesn't exist for tax purposes, as I say all the time. So it's basically like you're doing business in these places, and you don't have your own tax ID for these purposes. So sometimes they want you to have an ITIN, and sometimes they only want to work with tax residents, just because it limits their liability a little bit. And that's like more from the payment processor side. So it depends on each platform. So what you could do if you wanted to was elect a corporate tax status for your LLC, and then you can tell them it's a corporation, and then you can use the EIN for everything, because it's the corporation would pay taxes in the U.S. You could just tell them that and not ever do it. You can do whatever you want, because these are all like internal forms. Like all this stuff doesn't get past the IRS.
Right.
Like when you give them a W-9 instead of a W-8 Ben.
Correct. But so essentially this means that but if I would actually switch to a corporation, then I would start paying taxes in the U.S.
You would be liable for paying income taxes in the U.S.
Correct. Okay. And so in this case, if I have a single member LLC, am I supposed to submit, following what you said, the W-8BN form?
Yes.
That's the one I'm supposed to submit. Okay.
Yes.
And so you also mentioned that I'm considered a disregarded entity. Is that correct?
Well, the LLC is considered a disregarded entity. All it does is it provides you with a level of credibility because it is a company, but it is and it, like legal liability as well. It gives you like legal protection as well. But for tax purposes, it doesn't. You're just doing business for yourself. It's just the company doesn't exist for that. So that's why these people, when they're paying you, they need to know whether they should be withholding taxes. And if you're a non-resident, a foreign person, and they're paying you royalties, especially, they have to withhold that 30%.
Correct. And as far as the disregarded entity goes, is it a hybrid or reverse hybrid? Because that was another question on the questionnaire, and I wasn't quite sure how to.
It's only a hybrid entity, and that's a fair question. It's only a hybrid entity if it's taxed differently in different jurisdictions. So if the LLC is taxed as a corporation in Indonesia, but it's taxed as a pass-through entity here, or if it just has different tax classifications in different jurisdictions, it would be a hybrid entity. So generally, it wouldn't really be a hybrid entity.
In general, it would. Okay. And also, as far as the royalties go, which then comes down to the 30% withholding tax.
Is that for like Udemy? You selling courses in Udemy?
Yeah. So my understanding is that, essentially, because I will be taxing this in the Czech Republic, is all of the income that I generate through the company, I will tax in the Czech Republic, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Then, because there'll be already a 30% withheld, essentially I'm going to be paying double tax.
Well, you should get a credit for that in the Czech Republic, because the royalties, the reason they're withholding is because it's considered U.S. Source income, fixed income
Right.
from U.S. sources. So you should try and get a credit in the Czech Republic for that.
Okay, because I figured another way to essentially go around it would be to provide a Czech tax ID, and then it would not fall under.
No, you wouldn't. The only way around it would be to have a U.S. Corporation.
Okay, got it.
How much are you making from Udemy every month?
From Udemy, I just signed up last month, so $300 thus far. I just literally had to come across this questionnaire, that's why I had to fill it out. And
well, they like most courses on Udemy are pretty cheap, so it's good you can actually make a little bit of money from it, because all the courses I see on Udemy are like $8 or $10.
Yeah, they have a very strange
system
to sell.
And they charge everything $30, and they have like double coupon codes all the time.
Correct. They have this way where you can, if you promote the course by yourself, you'll get 97% of the revenue generated, and I'm targeting it to existing audience. So essentially, for me, it makes sense. It's a free hosting for me, but for most people, it's generally about the volume of students.
Yeah, it has to be, because it's so cheap. It's a cheaper platform.
Yeah. And then another question I have is, you mentioned IDEN. When would I essentially need it, and do I need it or do I not need it?
Well, it's up to you. The ITIN is just a U.S. tax ID, and sometimes you need it to work with payment processors. So sometimes U.S. PayPal will let you, and Stripe will let you open accounts and let you operate, but eventually they'll want to do some verification, and they might require a U.S. tax ID. And they want to know if they're working with a U.S. resident, but it's kind of by sending an ITIN, you can kind of imply that you're a U.S. resident without telling them. Because you say, oh yeah, sure, I have a U.S. address, I have an ITIN, but you don't actually say you're a U.S. resident. Like they don't. It's weird because PayPal and Stripe don't really request W-9s or W-8s. They just want to, like, theirs isn't for tax withholding purposes. It's more for KYC, know your client purposes, and for refund risk. So it's a little bit different. And they want you can kind of get by implying that you're a U.S. person when you're not.
Correct, correct.
So
So
that's when
essentially, if I did obtain IDEN, I would become a tax resident in the US.
no, not at all. You would not become a tax resident. You would just have a tax ID for yourself. We get it by filing a non-resident tax return, a non-resident return,
Okay.
and then it's basically making an affirmative statement that you're not a resident of the U.S. And it also helps with applying for credit cards if you need that. You can apply
Right.
for some without it, but in general, with an I-10, it allows you to start trying to build your credit in the U.S. so that you can start taking advantage of the vast availability of debt here.
Right, right. But overall, I can also go without it. If I do have it, what kind of obligations would I have in terms of filing the?
There's no obligation. You just have to file to get it, and you have to file every like 3 years to keep it active. But once you have it, I don't really know if it matters if it's active or not. You just need to have it for like signing up for things and have the letter. So I don't know. I haven't had that issue of like of someone like needing to confirm that the I-10 was active. So
Right.
I personally haven't had an issue with that. It's more of just allowing you to sign up for more stuff. And if you're using, you'll find that if you're getting into like Shopify, because I've done it before too, having a PayPal account is pretty important if you don't have one already, because so many people buy using PayPal.
Correct, correct.
Do you already have a PayPal account?
I do actually. They just took my passport and my EIN number, and that was all they asked for.
Is it a Czech or an Indonesian PayPal account, or is it a US?
It's American. It's a US PayPal.
Nice, yeah, because a lot of times I have people that have issues with that all the time.
Right, right, right.
I wonder if it's because where you're at, because if like my clients in Latin America can't even access the US PayPal page to even apply. Like I
Really?
applied for them, yeah, because of the even if they use a VPN, they haven't been able to do it.
Wow. Right, right. And then so there is no obligation in terms of sending anything to the IRS each year, or?
Sure, you have to file your tax report each year.
Okay, so that's essentially the only thing there is.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you're operating your business. If you're keeping inventory in the U.S., you have employees here. If you're doing
Right.
anything here at all, then you might have a tax file, like a requirement to pay taxes. And also, if you, like you said, you have that royalty income, we could take certain positions to try and request refunds saying that it is an active business that you have here. In any case, the main thing is filing that form 5472.
5472 for
Yeah.
the item,
No, for your LLC.
for the LLC. Got it. And it's also a once a year thing.
Yeah, by April 15th every year.
Got it.
If it's late or wrong, $25,000 penalty.
Really?
Yeah.
'Cause I did speak to a CPA previously in Rhode Island, and I got very confusing information every single time I tried to speak to them.
Yeah, I love the people that come and talk to me who's talked to a lot of CPAs and a lot of different people because they have all kinds of different information.
Right, right. Correct.
How did you end up with that Rhode Island CPA?
It was actually recommended to me by a person that does the same business. He's actually based in the US, and so I was recommended. I got the recommendation because I knew that they were somewhat skilled in e-commerce, but yeah, it did not really translate into.
The e-commerce doesn't matter. It's all about the residency that
Yeah,
matters
yeah, yeah.
for you, especially.
Okay, well, and also the Form 1099-K, it's just for US persons, correct?
I don't even know. Yeah, a Form 1099-K shows how much payments have been processed to your tax ID.
And is it only for US persons, or could be for anybody?
I guess it could be issued to an LLC.
Okay.
It's just an informational form sent to the IRS based on the tax details that whoever is issuing it has.
Noted. Okay. I'm just a bit conflicted on the fact that essentially I'm not a business, but I only have the LLC tax ID.
I mean,
Because that was,
you're not a business.
I mean, I'm an individual, and I should file for W-8-BEN instead of the BENE. And
You
I
can
only
do
have the,
BENE if your LLC is owned by a foreign company, then you do BENE. But if your LLC is owned by yourself, it'd be a BEN.
right. So because the way these questionnaires work essentially is that, you answer one thing and then they let you answer another thing.
Yeah.
And when you click on that you're an individual, they will only allow you to submit SSN or ITIN. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why the EIN number is useless in this case, and I would have to essentially get an ITIN for that.
Yeah, you might have to. Yeah, that's because they can't really withhold. Yeah, it's interesting. You can't really withhold taxes to a disregarded entity in LLC. I never actually seen it done like that. Royalties withheld because they're withholding taxes on your behalf, so they need your tax ID to report it.
Right.
That's why they need it.
Well noted. Okay, well, I think that sums up everything. So one more thing for the LLC, you did mention the 5472 form.
Yes, exactly.
Is that everything that comes with managing an LLC, or?
I don't understand. Is that yeah? You have to renew the company. You have to renew the company, and you have to file that form.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much everything from me.
Okay.
I suppose. Yeah.
Awesome.
Just one last thing.
Sure.
As far as the 5472, that is being submitted to the IRS directly or the state?
It's the IRS.
The IRS. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, I'm glad. I hope I could help. I wish you the best of luck. And again, you're fine. Obviously, with me posting this video on the channel, it wasn't. I think we went through some things that might be helpful.
Yeah, 100%.
I look like I'm asleep, but I'm trying to get there. I'm a late person.
Can you actually see my video or no?
No, I usually just pin my video. Your video's off, but I pin mine anyway, so it doesn't.
Okay.
If you're on and you want to be on the video, I'll do side by side, but I've been just pinning it recently, so it's just on me.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
well.
thanks for watching the channel and supporting the channel and for calling in. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye. Okay, that call went really well. I think we answered his questions. It is interesting how the dynamic between an individual and a business and the W-9s and W-8s and who's withholding, who's not withholding, who's reporting what. It is very interesting and it's different in each case, which is why I'm so happy to be able to do these calls because I'm able to help clarify this for different people. So if you thought this call was helpful, please, again, just like the video. Appreciate it. It helps. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to have a call with me to do this yourself, you can click the link in the description and schedule a call. Okay, so I look forward to talking to you, and thanks for watching.